What is up, everybody, and welcome back for another episode of Dolphins versus the World. And as always, we're joined by the man behind the camera, our producer, Joel. And with me today is my co-host, Anthony. Anthony, how are you feeling after a disappointing Sunday?
It was a thrilling end, but kind of like when I look back at it, it was kind of like not a good game, like for either. I mean, I know the Chiefs won, but like it was kind of just like we lost, which sucks. But I like walked away from it and I was like, you know what I mean? Like it was like more thrilling than it really was, if that makes sense.
Yeah, as far as the quality of the game goes, like it felt like a overseas game. Like the Dolphins just were out of it in the first half, and then the Chiefs looked exhausted, like they were jet lagged. I don't know. You could say whatever you want, but just a slappy game by both teams at a lot of points overall. But yeah, I mean, I think everyone knows here. If you're watching this, I'd like to think you know the score and how the game went. So just kind of like from what I've been listening to, like big picture from the outside, like guys that I respect and watch, which are more sort of like people who are in the betting community. Not that I think they have better opinions or anything, but that's just the kind of content that I like to watch. So the overall picture, big wise, was they kind of just were like, hey, like, I mean, if you're the Dolphins, like, yeah, it was bad, but in the end, you kind of went toe to toe with the Chiefs, like the best team in the NFL. And it's so crazy that they say that because that was not my takeaway from watching the game. Like, what was your sort of takeaway as a fan? Because my takeaway as a fan is just way different than what I thought like those guys were saying. But then also there's other people who are obviously saying that they can't beat a good team. But yeah, what are your just kind of thoughts? How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I think I'm a little bit of a mix of both. Certainly the first half of the game, I was not happy. But, you know, with all things, whether it's arguments, watching football games, reacting to movies, music, whatever, like as time goes along, you kind of settle in with your opinions and stuff. And the way I feel about this team, and I'll pass it to you because I am curious. Again, for those that, you know, we'll talk like about stuff during the game and stuff like me, you, and Joel, but like we try to keep as much of this authentic as possible. So like I have no idea some of the stuff like how you're feeling, other than obviously we're both upset. But here's my thought, and then I'll pass it to you. Overall, I stand by what you and I have been saying the last several weeks, which is the Dolphins are still a very good team, I feel. I think they are a very good team. And I'll say this. One of the things I really want to get to as a positive is this defense to me is top 10 now. They have averaged 17 points per game allowed in the last 5 weeks, and we've played that. That's considering the Eagles and the Chiefs game. This defense looks really good. And holding the Chiefs to 14 points, 0 points in the second half. Think about that. You held the Chiefs to 0 points. Travis Kelce had less than 20 yards receiving. You and I both said if it's under 70, that's a win. But getting back to the point, I still think the Dolphins are a very good team. I do think I don't like using the word fraudulent because when you use the word fraudulent, for some reason, people think that means they suck. Fraudulent means you are not what people say you are, whether they should be saying you are that or not. You could say they are posers, they're pretenders, whatever word you want to use. And I think that there is a level of that. And I don't say that with any hate or like I hate the Dolphins now or I think they suck. I don't. But I think it would be pretty hard for you to say confidently that you believe the Dolphins are a elite powerhouse team when you've lost, even though it's been closer every time, you've lost the 3 games against good teams that you've played. Does that mean that the Dolphins can't win the division? No, right? The Bills haven't even faced their difficult part of the schedule and they're 5-4. You know, we've beaten teams in ways that other teams haven't beaten them, even though they're bad. So I still think the Dolphins are a good team. I do think there is a level of, hey, maybe they're just not there yet. And I'm curious as I pass it to you to ask like what your thoughts are overall. What I'm going to be looking for in this next half of the season is and you can answer this after or first, up to you. And I'm going to ask this. Is the issue with the Dolphins, are we going to find out how many weeks left are there in the season, including the bye week? Nine, I think, including the bye week before playoffs.
I think
What,
I think you're right.
yeah. What I want to find out from the Miami Dolphins, are you a bad team against good teams? Meaning, are you just not that caliber? Or is it a home versus away issue, regardless of the opponent? Because I think those are two different things. And my opinion right now is I can't say that they are bad against good teams, because every good team we've played has been away. And beating the Bills in Buffalo is going to be hard. Beating the Eagles in Philadelphia is going to be hard. The Chiefs, yeah, I know it's neutral, but apparently I didn't know this. Kansas City 2.0 is apparently Germany. I didn't know that. But
that was wild. I didn't see that.
Right. So what I'm curious to see from the Dolphins, they're going to have the Bills at home. They'll have the Jets, who, say what you want, but they have a good defense and they know they're finding ways to win games. And that's more than you can say for other teams. When you play those teams at home, can you beat them? And when you play bad teams away, do you still dominate them? So I need to see that before I can just say we can't beat good teams. Because at the end of the day, like, what if the Dolphins played this game at home and beat them? So I'm not trying to say that the Dolphins are all of a sudden like I'm happy with them, but I will say what I need to see now, and I think you're going to be able to see, because we play some teams away that are like I think the Titans game is in Tennessee, and we're going to play some good teams at home. So I'm curious, like, what your thoughts are, if you feel the same way, and then obviously your thoughts on the game.
Yeah. So first, I'm just going to try to talk about the game. So I think that will lead it just to the point. But so it's a tough game. It's a real unique game to try to break down, just because alone it was in Germany, and it was just two different teams at half. But when you just strip it down and look at it from a whole, yeah, they went toe to toe with the Chiefs, and then the Chiefs got a 80-yard pick six, fumble six for a touchdown, and the Dolphins kick a field goal there, and then the Chiefs don't score, the Dolphins win the game. That was the difference in the game when you look at it from a holistic. If you strip out the two teams, because there's the other factors of previous games, the Chiefs have won Super Bowls, but in a vacuum, the Dolphins were right in that game and had every right to win the game. You could even say they should have won the game. To a point, they messed up and they shot themselves in the foot in the first half, and then at the end of the game, just incapable of coming up big when it mattered. But they were good. They went right with the Chiefs. Yeah, it should have gone to OT at least. I thought maybe they would go for two personally. But anyways, yeah, they went toe to toe with the Chiefs. The defense at the first drive, they moved the ball at will. And then after that, they did nothing until the last drive, offensive drive of the half, where they scored another touchdown. But there was a bunch of punts in the first half, and then the fumble six. And that was it. They didn't score again. They didn't even get a first down. The defense, when it needed to get a 3-and-out against Patrick Mahomes, which I did not think they were going to do. When they gave the Chiefs the ball back with 4 minutes, I was like, they're just going to get 3 first downs here. It's what the Chiefs always do. But the defense is what we thought it may be before the season. So that's encouraging. But the offense may not be as good, which, I mean, I guess when you're at historic first overall, never before seen stuff, who could have seen this coming? We should have, but I guess we didn't. But yeah, then so that's the big picture if you just look at it from just this game. But then as a fan, and obviously not just a fan, but someone who has watched this team forever and just knows, it just really feels man, they're just right stuck in the middle. What are they? There's all these questions that they aren't beating the good teams, at the end of the day, you are what your record is. No one's going to look back and be like, oh, well, the Dolphins, they should have beat the Chiefs. No one's going to remember that at the end of the year. So you are just what your record is. And then our record in these games, it's concerning. Is it something that we can't see with our eyes? Is it the play calling? Just people say the clutch gene and everything. It could be that, but that's just a inquantifiable thing that we don't know. We're not able to see. Like, is it that with the Dolphins? They just don't have like the killer instinct. Something's not right. Like, every time they just go in these games and lose, and like as a fan, that's why it's really frustrating. But like, I think there's so many ways you could look at this game. Like, no matter what you are, fan forever, new fan, outside, like, you could be pessimistic, you could be optimistic, or you could be neutral and be like, well, these are just two good teams that are the same. We both think they're contenders before. Or you could be like, well, the Dolphins, like you said, when they go up in class, that's when they really struggle. Like, when they're punching up a weight tier above them, it just feels like they're not the same team when they're playing teams on their caliber or worse. In those games, they look like world beaters, but they just struggle like against these good teams. And like, what is it? It's hard to tell. But yeah, I mean, me personally, at first, like I sound now, I was pretty pessimistic. But then, like, the more I started thinking about it, like, I could see an optimistic spin. Like you said, like, if they just win the game, we'd be talking differently today. We wouldn't be like, oh, they lost. Like, the ball doesn't. If the play call are right at the end of the game, we're like, this defense is incredible now. The offense wasn't great, but look, it's in Germany. Blah blah blah. Get it done when it's done. But it's a game of inches. Sometimes the ball bounces your way. Sometimes it doesn't. I think there's not all that really that we learned from this game, to be honest with you. As crazy as that sounds, like, I think everyone's more confused than before. So I guess really, and I'll kick it back to you here with the question, like, do you think they're still Super Bowl contenders? How do you feel like? Do you think you need more to see to know if they are or aren't? Or do you think you could put them in they are or aren't already?
It's a good question, because I look at a team like the Bengals a couple of years ago. I look at a team like the Giants, right, when they went, and the Packers, even the year before that. And I say to myself, like, I have no idea what could happen in the playoffs. We have no idea what could happen the rest of the season, right, to shake things up. But I think as it stands right now, and again, this doesn't mean it can't happen or it won't happen, but like, when you see things like that, it does affect the way you view the team. And I can't confidently say right now that I think we can go to the Super Bowl, because the only way I think we could go to the Super Bowl is if we had the number 1 seed and if everyone had to play in Miami. Because I think that's what I'm saying. Like, I need to see how we play Dallas in Miami. I need to see how we played the Jets defense in Miami. Because if this is an issue where no matter when we play good teams, we suck, then we're not going anywhere. But if it's an issue of, hey, it's just like you just happen to you're not that good away, but when you play at home, even if it's against good teams, you are great, then there is a pathway to get there. But at the same time, that pathway is a lot slimmer than I would say the Bengals or the Chiefs, because I know those teams can do that. I know those teams can go on the road and win games. We've seen them do it. Now, the Chiefs have been lucky to where in the playoffs, they're able to mostly have the number 1 seed most of the time, but we've seen them win big games no matter who they've played. But yeah, like, when I look at this team, that's my issue, is there's a lot of uncertainty where I know they're really good, but I understand in order to get to the playoffs, you're probably, like, the reality is, Dolphin fans, that even if we win our division, we're probably not going to have the number 1 seed. Unless, again, I would love for us to, but like, we're probably not. We have 8 games left. I would think that you're probably going to win 5, maybe 6 of them. So you're probably going to have about 11 to 12 wins, I think, which is what we both said at the beginning of the season. And I just think that with the way the Chiefs defense is playing, the way the Bengals are playing, the way the Ravens are playing, those teams are probably going to have a better record than you. So you're probably not going to have the number 1 seed. So inevitably, you will probably have to play somewhere else. And so it's kind of like a TBD, I guess. Like I can't say you're a Super Bowl contender if you can't play well on the road.
Yeah. And it's too early to kind of be mapping out like the playoffs and stuff. But I totally agree with you. Like the reality is the Bengals or the Ravens are going to be a wild card team. And that may be, even if the Dolphins go have 12 wins, like they may be facing them the first weekend, because the Jags could be the 2 seed, just because they have an easier schedule. Like it's going to be a tough game no matter who you play. So like having it at home would be key. But yeah, I think for me right now, like the season is let's win a playoff game. I'm not saying that we can't win the Super Bowl. I still think we can, but I'd like to temper the expectations, like you said, until you see that we can go win on the road, because I'd like to just win a playoff game. And if that's going to be at home and then we go on the road the next round and lose, at least I got to see us win a playoff game. It's been a long time.
Right. And I think there's something to that. Obviously the goal should always be win as many games as possible. And then the outcome's the outcome. I think the more attainable goal is win your division. We talked a little bit about this. The Jets, even if they win the next 2 games against the Chargers and the Raiders, they're still not in first. The Dolphins are in first place. Now that the Bengals beat the Bills last night, the Dolphins are in first place until they play the Raiders, no matter what happens while they're away. So, I look at the Bills. They have to play the Chiefs still. They have to play the Eagles still. They have to play the Cowboys. And they're already 1 game behind us. And they are 1-2 in the division, right? So I look at a lot of these teams, or I look at the Bills, and I go, I think it is attainable for the Dolphins to win, because, we beat the Patriots both times. The Bills lost to them, right? So I look at all these. I look at the Dolphins' schedule ahead, and I say, yeah, sure, there's a path for us to have a home playoff game. Excuse me. Oh, my God. And I think, can you hear me still? Okay. And I think there is a real conversation to be had of, if you just get to the playoffs and have a home playoff game, and say you win the home playoff game and then you lose in the next round away, I know that this roster is good enough to where that's like, oh, that sucks. But I think that after 22, 23, however many years it's been, would the fan base, like, think about that.
And here's the other thing. Sorry to cut you off there.
There you go.
But this year, the Lions are going to have a home playoff game, and they are the only team who has a longer playoff winning drought than us. So do you really want to be the last team when the stat comes up every year, the Dolphins' longest playoff drought? I would not like to be that.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. And I know that's, how do I say this? It's humbling to have to come to that reality that, like, that I understand that the Dolphins, because they're in Miami and because there was Dan Marino, they've been relevant longer, or they've had higher highs. But the reality is that whatever has been going on recently, the next closest team to you is the Lions. So I know your team is really talented. I know we're really talented, but at the end of the day, you kind of have to just, like, let's take it one step at a time. Let's try to get to the Super Bowl. But, like, if we ended the season and we won a playoff game and lost, a hard-fought battle, in the divisional round, I mean, that's something. And I think that for owner Stephen Ross and Mike McDaniel, that would be a huge win. But again, regardless, and that's assuming that, you're able to win. That's what I'm saying. I have to see them beat a good team at home. I know all the games have been away, but, like, you're going to have to face a good team in the playoffs. Obviously the season's not ending today, but if it were to end today, we'd be playing the Pittsburgh Steelers in Miami, and we would win that. But like you said, the AFC North is really good. The Bengals are going to be a wild card team. I don't see the Ravens they're really good. The Ravens,
They're really good.
Very good. So like it's going to be tough there. Now the Ravens always find a way. Like they've had unfortunate injuries, but like with the Dolphins, like if Lamar is healthy, that's going to be huge for them. But like the Bengals are most likely going to be a playoff team, and they are probably better than every other team that's going to win the division except maybe the Chiefs or the Ravens. So like they're going to probably beat whoever they play. So it really depends on who we play. What if we played the Jets? What if we played the Bills? Right? What if the Bills end up being the 7? Because I look at the Bills and I go, man, you already lost 4 games. In order to get into the playoffs, you're probably going to have to win at least 10, maybe 11. So we're asking them to win at minimum 5 of their next 8, but at preferably 6 of their next 8. And they still have to play the Chiefs, the Cowboys, the Eagles, and the Dolphins at home. And I think that out of all those games, the only one probably that they could win would be against the Dolphins. Right? So I don't know. There's going to be a lot. But anyway, getting back to the Dolphins, we can get into the game too. But yeah, it was just like it's upsetting that we lost. But I need to use this next 2 weeks to really evaluate like how I feel about this team because, the last 3 weeks has been you lost to the Eagles, you beat the Patriots, and you lost to the Chiefs. So the last 3 weeks has been very apparent what happens when you play the good versus bad teams. So I need some time to like really look at it. And honestly, what's really upsetting about this loss is that I feel like every time we've played good teams, we've played better and better. And I look at this, Chase, and I don't know what you'd have to comment on it. But what's a little discouraging is I don't know if you're ever going to be able to play the Kansas City Chiefs that well on defense, and you still couldn't win. That's what was hard for me is I understand the fumble, but like you limited the Patrick Mahomes-led Chiefs to under 300 yards of offense and 14 points. You held them to no points in the second half, and 95% chance the next time you play them will be an Arrowhead, which is going to be way harder. So if you couldn't beat them now, that's what's discouraging to me when I look at all this is the Dolphins could have won or at least gone to overtime. I mean, we'll talk about those last 2 plays, but
yeah, got it. But yeah, so I kind of wrote down my like just raw quick thoughts right after the game, and I just put like just before I started breaking it down, but like when I was just in we can't beat anyone. Like whenever we play these teams, we're terrible, never going to win anything. I just put we could have won the game. Like that game was there for the taking. We could have won. But can we really like beat them in these other teams? Like if we played the Chiefs 10 times, like how many times does that happen to them? Like it doesn't feel like it happens a lot. I mean, same thing like with our offense. Like I don't think they had that bad of a first half all the time. Like that's pretty rare, I think. But yeah, I mean, last kind of big thing I want to talk about was like I'm definitely upgrading the defense. Pretty encouraging. I mean, but again, like you said, we gotta see more. And it's just a weird year. Good time to go into the bye. But yeah, I mean, other thought was like there's some good teams, man. Like the Bengals and the Ravens look really good. Really, really good. Like I don't think the Chiefs are the best team in the NFL, and we still didn't beat them. So yeah, I don't know.
No, yeah,
it's tough. But yeah, what?
No, it's just, I mean, yeah, I agree with the defense. I want to touch on that a little bit because, man, I was impressed with them. I mean, seriously, I was wondering, like what are we on defense, right? We played well against the Giants and the Panthers, but it's the Giants and the Panthers. But playing again, the last 5 games, your defense is giving up 17 points a game. That's incredible. The addition to Jalen Ramsey was huge. X looked great. Javon was back. our defensive line is feasting right now. And that Kansas City Chiefs O-line, I know, look, Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes. I saw some people that were like, we can't get him down. It's like, dude, he's the best quarterback maybe of all time. Over time, we'll see. But like, he's not just going to like get sacked every play all of a sudden because Jalen Phillips is rushing him. Like, we still made plays on him and he made plays on us. But like, man, I was impressed. I mean, seriously, think about this. The Chiefs had a touchdown on the first drive. They had a touchdown somewhere in the second quarter. I forget. It was like earlier on. And that was it. The whole entire game. The first third down conversion by either team was made in the third quarter. The first third down conversion. So like, I look at this and I was like, man, the defense, that was one of the best defensive performances I've seen from the Dolphins, considering the strength of opponent. Maybe last while. Last time we played the Chiefs, we gave up 31 and it was further than that. So like this defense is coming along really, really well. But again, it's like, that's why I was saying like your defense, I don't know if next time they're going to be able to do that. Like when your defense, when your defense does that to Patrick Mahomes, you have to capitalize on it because it doesn't happen a lot. You had it. And we'll get to the offense a little of really that 7 points with the fumble being the difference. But the offense, I mean, how can you not look after this game and just be? I mean, I'm disappointed. I'm like, you get into that, and then we'll get into the offense a little. But
no, I want to go right to the offense. I was just gonna say like that I think is the concerning part. Like when and they have played like the Eagles and the Chiefs are probably two top 5 defenses. The Chiefs just don't get enough credit because it's the Chiefs defense, like we said, and everyone thinks, but that is a really good defense. But same thing with the Bills. I mean, they weren't moving it at will against the Bills. Like, is that the concern? Like, what is going on when we're playing these elite defenses? Because odds are when you want to win, it's going to be the elite defenses. But yeah, I mean, honestly, like crazy to think that we're in week 9. That I would probably say that I think I feel better about the defense than the offense. If you told me that a few weeks ago, just because like against the Eagles too, like they could stop the run, like they're going to be able to keep you in games. If that's the case, like I think the offense should be able to get there eventually, but like I don't know what was going on. Whether it's the German factor in the beginning of the game or what, but like they weren't really able to move the ball, which was pretty crazy. Like I think the Chiefs defense is still gettable. Like I think it's really good, but like it has weaknesses on it, and they were double teaming Tyreek Hill. Like someone's got to be open.
Oh yeah, I mean again and I said this when I was leading, like Steve Spagnuolo, I'm not sure why he doesn't get a lot of credit. To me, top 3 defensive coordinator in football. He is aggressive and he takes chances, and sometimes he's going to get burnt. Like you look at those last 2 plays, and people are going to be like, the Chiefs defense. Dude, y'all got smoked on those last 2 plays. Tua, I don't know what happened on that last pass. And then there was the bad snap where he sees the blitz coming. It's cover 0, and Jalen Waddle's wide open over the middle. Now, with the pressure, would he be able to get it to him? We'll see. I don't know. We'll never know.
Let's just talk about the 2 plays real quick.
Yeah.
Unless you were going to say something.
No. Go to it.
Just on the 2 plays. Like I did see your tweet how you think it slipped. Like I think it was a miscommunication. I think he was trying to draw pass interference. I that's sort of what I think. Like, but yeah, I mean, just a really weird. See, that to me was the one that haunts me. Not the 4th down play that he dropped the snap. Like I don't know what to say. I think that just the moment got too big. Like maybe taking the timeout like while needed kind of just made everyone feel the pressure of the moment. Like because it just by everyone, I guess I mean just pretty much Tua. Right. Connor Williams, like not a perfect snap, but you got to get catch at 100 times out of 100 if you're a quarterback. you're at the NFL level. Like that's unacceptable. But yeah, I mean, I think it was just a miscommunication. Like, but I mean, just like, how does that even happen at a time like that?
Well, here's my thing and why I'm like, I don't know if it was a miscommunication. I'm not, and look, we need to learn how to draw the line as a fan base on being upset with Tua or the Dolphins and not thinking that they suck.
All or nothing with Tua, and
because
crazy.
Again, there's the part of the fan base that it's like you say one bad thing and they're like, yeah, he sucks, and it's like, no, I don't think that at all. You and I are both, if Tua stays healthy, we know he has his limitations, but we both love him. And he's definitely been way better than I ever thought he could be with Mike McDaniel. But like but also on the other crowd, I need to be able to call out what I see. The last 2 games, if you want to be the franchise quarterback, you can't do that. I'm sorry. That doesn't mean I hate Tua. That doesn't mean I think he sucks. No, like learn from it. But the reason I'm confused on if it's a miscommunication, and I felt this way and was afraid to come out and say it, and finally I did come out and say, and the reason why is because the QB school came out and was like, that didn't look like a miscommunication to me. That's just a bad throw. Because here's the thing, and I'm not, I'm not saying that to say people are wrong for thinking it was a miscommunication. I'm not saying that. And Tua said it was a miscommunication, and typically he's very honest. But here's my thing. If it is a miscommunication, let's say it is a miscommunication, I'm not sure what he was throwing. Because like someone said, like, have you ever played flag football? Like, please don't ever compare flag football and backyard football to the real NFL. Like someone commented that.
I saw that one.
Yeah, they were like, well, if you've ever played flag football or backyard football, I'm like, I will never, ever compare what I have ever done on a football field, and I have played both, to what Tua Tagovailoa is experiencing in that moment. Like, Tua Tagovailoa is a greater thrower of the football and passer of the football than I could ever dream in my, like, okay. But anyway, like, yeah, I've played backyard football before. And typically, if someone ran the wrong route, I hesitate. There was no hesitation. He threw the ball as if he was very confident of where it was going. That's why I'm saying it seemed to me like he knew he was going to throw it and it either slipped, or if it is a miscommunication, that's just a bad ball thrown. Because like either way you spin it, and I have no idea, and we will really never know, I don't know what route he's throwing, because with the velocity and how soft it was, that had to be the most anticipated comeback route we've ever seen. And I saw some people say it's an out route. Okay, but the ball landed like 4 yards before the sideline. Like, I've seen Tua throw a comeback and an out route. He doesn't have the greatest arm, but he'll put zip on it and he throws it ahead of time. That was a touch pass. And I'm like, I don't know if that was a curl. And I understand what you're saying about like the pass interference, but to me, if I'm going to do it for pass interference, because did he do that? No, Dak Prescott did that in the Eagles game. You put it like ever so slightly behind where it should be. That wasn't even close. And that's why I'm like, okay, even if Cedric Wilson did run the right route, that's hard to say. Even if Cedric Wilson ran the right route, I'm not sure what the hell kind of throw that was, because if it's an out route, it's getting picked off because it was too inside. And that needs to be on the out, right on the out of bounds, because he's going to catch it and go out of bounds, stop the clock. Or if it's a comeback route, I mean, damn, he's pushing his anticipation to a whole new level, because he throws that ball. And even if Cedric Wilson is running a comeback route, he still has like 3 steps before he turns to hit the comeback route. And based off of typically where the angle is of a comeback route, its trajectory is towards the sideline. And to me, like when he threw it, it almost looked like he was throwing like a hitch, like a curl route. So that's why, it was I've never seen anything like that. But again, that can't happen. Even if you want to say it's not to his fault and it was a miscommunication, that can't happen. If it's Cedric Wilson's fault, I don't know. Hey, I'll say this real quick. I don't know what the hell route Cedric thought he was running, but it was the right one.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't know what the hell he was running, but he was open.
I know.
So maybe right. So maybe they need to go back to the drawing board on that, because I don't know if they wanted an out route, but it should have been a go route. So maybe they need to say, hey, Cedric, what'd you see here? Because it worked.
Him and Wilson were just walking into that zone. Like,
yeah, and that was another one too. Is I looked at that play, and I wouldn't go as far to say Jeff, because I feel like just with his speed, like yeah, but they probably would have made a play because it's like
he
that
looks like he's
gravity.
walking.
Right. But what I will say is I saw the exact same thing where, hey, he dumps it off. It's at least almost a first down, if not a first down. And then you're set up for a 4th and short where the whole playbook's open to you. And then the last play with the snap real quick, I see it's one of those things where I see people blaming Connor. I see people blaming both. And I'm pulling a Tony Stark from Iron Man 1. I'm saying, why not both? It's a bad snap, but you still should have caught it, right?
Yeah.
It's like the pass to it through to Tyreek. Yeah, it was high, but you should have caught it. You're getting paid $30 million a year. So I don't know what happened there. It looked like it was coming in too hot on the wrong side, but Tua also, it looked like he got too panicky because he saw the blitz, and it was a big moment. I've seen him catch way harder. I've seen Connor Williams skyrocket passes over his head that he's caught. That he should have caught that. And Connor needs to be better in those moments. So again, you have a chance to tie it. Both offenses have played like caca the whole entire game. Yeah, here we are, and you have a chance to tie it or possibly, like you said, go for 2 and win it. And the biggest 2 plays and the biggest players in the game, Tyreek Hill and Tua, in the biggest moments, fell flat. I still love them. I still root for them. But that's it. Like, have you ever gotten in trouble as a kid? I'm sure you have, right?
Yeah.
Does that mean your parents hate you? No, I'm calling it out. Hey, you're an idiot. You put your hand on the stove and you burn your hand. That's a stupid move. You're an idiot. I still love you. Tua messed up at the end. I don't know if it was a miscommunication or what. You're the quarterback. You're in charge. You messed up. You didn't play your greatest game. Still love you. Still going to root like hell for you. But like, we need you in those moments to step up when things aren't going well, and it didn't happen.
Yeah, and I'm glad to just hear. I appreciate he's always like just calling it how it is. Like I like that. Like, some people would dance around it. Like, but yeah, I mean, if he came out and like I'm going with the information I have that it was a miscommunication. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what the heck was going on there. Like, I was trying to rationalize it. Like, in reality, if he came out and was like it slipped, like I'd be like, makes total sense. That was horrible. Like, but my God, I mean, Cedric Wilson had him so beat. Like, I don't even know what happened. I won't speculate too much more, but like, if he just holds it a second longer, dot right to Cedric Wilson in the end zone, and then, like you said, we either go for 2, or like we both said, either go for 2 or not. But what I will say just real quick about Connor Williams and Tua, they just have no chemistry, like 2 years now. And I said it before the season, like, or during, I think I said, I'm like, Connor Williams is going to cost us a game with like a bad snap, it feels like.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just like, I think it was Tua got panicked. Like, he saw the cover 0 and knew he had to get rid of it quick.
Yeah.
But yeah, what did you say?
Well, I just said I honestly would have been happier if he said it slipped, because I would have been like, man, that sucks. Like, the miscommunication almost, to me, it's like, I know we're sitting here saying like, I don't know what Tua was throwing. I don't know if it's Cedric's fault or Tua's, but it doesn't matter. Point is, it shouldn't have happened. And like, Tua's, that's why I don't think he's lying. That's what I'm saying. I'm just trying to say it's a bad ball regardless of if it's a miscommunication or not. And he does this thing, and I don't know about this, so please don't say like, Anthony, you don't know about quarterback. I am using verbatim, word for word, what JT O'Sullivan has said on the QB school. So if you're coming at me, you're coming at a real NFL quarterback. Tua does this thing, and I think we've talked about it, where it's a layup pass, and he makes it look, and he does stuff where I'm like, I don't understand why you're like, there's no one that's going to hit him. Yeah. And for some reason, or even if they're going to hit him, it's coming. So brace yourself properly. Because I did like that. Every sack he took, he's been bracing himself really well. Like, there's been plays where he's about to take a sack and he just drops. I'm like, good. Thank God you're not trying to do all this crazy hero ball. Like, yeah, you get sacked, it's okay. I'd rather you be healthy and we lose than we win or we lose and you're out. Because you and I both agree we're not doing diddly squat without him. Okay? But like, he does this thing, and JT O'Sullivan's mentioned it, where he throws some of his deep balls off his back foot without properly setting his feet, and like with the hitch, he just kind of like drops back. And when he hits that back foot, he like sails it. And you already don't have a strong arm. And now you're adding to that by going off your back foot. And I don't understand it. Because if he would have hit that drop in his drop back, hit the drop, hitched, and thrown the ball and stepped into it, then like that's what I'm saying. Like that's what was weird about it all is I don't know what route what he was planning on, but regardless, he didn't step into it and there was no reason to not to. He like went back and was like, and it's like, okay, why are you stepping back? There's no reason to. And JT O'Sullivan talks about it all the time. He talked about it after the Chargers game. He mentioned it on the Patriots game when he threw that interception. It was the underthrow, or maybe it was a little bit of an over. I think it was an underthrow to Christian Gonzalez. And he mentions it. He's like, yeah, Tua, I would love him to hit his hitch right here and step into the throw to add that velocity and that distance. But he like kind of floats it off his back foot. And he does it all the time. I don't know why. But, anyway.
So here's two just quick, interesting thoughts that I have that we could both talk about here. So for like, kind of, I guess the one question I'll ask here is like, do you think the Dolphins now are suffering a bit from like the Bills syndrome of a couple of years ago where they're like so good that they don't play these tight games. And then when they play these tight games, they don't know how to win. They struggle away. I mean, when you get the ball 2 times to go win the game and you can't do it, that's bad. Like if you flip it around and we gave Patrick Mahomes 2 chances to win, you can't tell me you don't think he's going down and scoring. Like is he going to do it every time? No, like they're going to obviously lose some games, but I think more often than not, they're going to go down and score. And we haven't seen Tua in enough of these situations with Mike McDaniel. We saw him at times early in his career, like against the Cardinals when he went down and won. That's just one I could think off the top of my head. But you got to see it with Mike McDaniel because they're married to each other. As long as nothing catastrophic happens. But I mean, this is week 9 now. I mean, look at the other quarterbacks. Like every quarterback is hurt by week 9. Pretty much like for him to be completely healthy, I'm sure he's dealing with something that we don't know of, but to be relatively healthy and kept off the injury report, pretty impressive. And that's just a credit to him, how smart he's been at protecting himself. And yeah, I mean, as far as like the not throwing properly, like I think it's just he's tried to do too much. Like in the past, I think he was trying to protect his hip, and then now he's trying to protect himself. Like it's just he has so much going on in his mind, and I think he kind of. I mean, I don't know what's going on. This is just me purely speculating, and doesn't even have any value. But yeah, like I think he's so worried about playing perfect. Like he knows how to play like the best that he can play, like with his anticipation and everything. He's thinking like 3 steps ahead when he should be thinking 1 step ahead sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes he makes, again, that pass to Cedric Wilson, that touchdown pass was a thing of beauty. I mean, oh my God. Like
he'll look to Jalen Waddle, like on the one.
Right. That's what I'm saying. He does, I want to say like he does crap like that. And then he'll have a pass where, again, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't want to keep hammering you had him wide open, because even if it wasn't miscommunication, I don't know what kind of throw he made. Right. So like, that's what I'm saying. It's like, they're going to have to go back and only they'll know. But yeah, at the end of the day, like he's healthy. And I've said to people all the time, like we need to learn how to draw the line between criticizing someone, but still like rooting for them. And I criticize Tua because like, I know he's really good. And it pisses me off in a way because it's like if you see your kid, which I don't have kids, but I know from when I was one, like when your parent sees you mess up, they get mad because they know you're better than that. And I know Tua is better than that. And I know the Dolphins are better than that. And that's what happens. And now here we are having to deal with the narratives of these stupid people like Kyle. Like, first of all, Kyle Brandt called the Dolphins the Cowboys of the NFC. Like, are you joking? The Dolphins? Like, how about first of all, your team is worse than us. Second off, your team literally just lost. Third off, your team lost to the Patriots. Wouldn't know what that's like. And then on top of that, like that means they must be the Vikings, because the Vikings
Yeah,
also
there's
lost
the
4 Super
Cowboys.
Bowls.
They're the team that goes to the playoffs and then loses.
Well,
That's what
well,
the Cowboys do in the NFC.
right. Well, no. The Bills are the Vikings because they also lost 4 Super Bowls.
Yeah, that's
Anyway,
true.
anyway, like that's what I'm saying. And when I say the things about Tua, people are probably going to be like, there are some people out there that even, and I don't know, like you tell me, because I thought my tweet where I said the miscommunication thing, or it was a weird pass, I didn't think that was like harsh. I didn't think I was like being disrespectful to two, but like there's still people that will, every single thing he does, he can do no wrong. And you have to find the balance. And honestly, I feel like there's either two people. There's the people that he does no wrong, and then there's the people where it's almost like they think that the offense is perfect, and if we lose, it's because Tua found a way to F it up.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know if you've seen that. It's very popular now, where it's like, I'm doing my part. I'm doing my part. I didn't do shit. Right? That's what he says. It's like a little me. Like, I feel like that's what people think that Tua does, where he's just kind of there for the ride. I'm like, no, like Tua is very good, and he's a big reason why we're successful. But again, when he does stuff like that, it's like, I'm going to call him out on it and be like, hey, man, you got to be better in those big moments. And um, it's unfair that it's all on him, but that's why he's the quarterback, right? It's unfair that he wasn't the problem for the whole entire game. And then the last 2 snaps, he was responsible, whether he was solely responsible or not, he was responsible for the 2 mess ups that lost us the game. And that's what sucks is, I'm calling him out on that, but I'm not trying to say, we can get into Tyreek Hill real quick, just for like 30 seconds before I pass it and we'll close out. Tyreek Hill, man, like, in the most respectful way possible, just shut up, please. Like, I'm sorry. I know that's going to sound like rude. Tyreek Hill might be the most talented player to ever wear our uniform, and I'm so grateful that he's on our team, because it's a gift almost to watch him in uniform play. But again, this is like I'd say to, you would probably say to me if I was out of pocket or something, or if you say to friends or something, like, dude, just shut up. There was a lot of it where we were leading up to the Chiefs game, and it was so like not bulletin board material, but I'm like, dude, you're acting like you're going against like the Bears. Like, I understand there's emotion in this game, but like it's not about you. It isn't at all. And not only that, but then like typically Tyreek does that, but then it's like, oh, it's okay because he went for 10 catches, 170 yards. To do that and then go into the game and not only not be great, but like kind of like cost us the game. Like, you shouldn't be getting outplayed by Cedric Wilson. I'm sorry. And I don't know if I'd go as far, but you know what I mean? Like, obviously they had to stop him. So I know that he's very important. But like, dude, like, just stop. It's getting to the point where it's almost getting annoying, where I'm just like, just go into the game. I love how much he backs up Tua. I love all that, but he chirps too much about the other teams. And I'm fine if it's like, yeah, you're playing the Panthers or something, or the Giants. But like, hey, we got a big game coming up. So like, how about we just don't give the Chiefs any extra motivation? And if you don't think that the Chiefs were using everything he was saying as motivation, like, hey, they're going to get that work. Well, what work? You a fumble? That's a present. That's not a work. So anyway, I just got annoyed with that. And again, I'm saying it doesn't mean I hate Tyreek. Tyreek has been worth every penny we've paid him and every draft pick we got to acquire him. But like, I just need to call that out, because like, you were nowhere. You were a no-show. People want to criticize Tua, but Tua was the only reason we were in that game, not Tyreek. Tua was the sole reason. And to all those people that think Tyreek's our MVP, let's just put that to bed. Okay, Tyreek, in my opinion, I don't think people are stupid for thinking that. But please, if one person we missed, if we haven't actually had this conversation, and I don't know if we want to wait for it to next episode, but I don't actually know like how you feel. Like, if I don't think that anyone who thinks Tyreek's the MVP is like an idiot, but like I don't want to put that pressure on you if you do think that, but like, I'm curious, like, how your thought, like, to me, an MVP, because it means most valuable player, is who would you be better if you lost them? And to me, like, there's proof that when we lost Tua, we sucked. So to me, I'm like, no, he's the MVP. He's the quarterback of this team. Tyreek's the most talented, but like Tua's the guy that if we lose him, it's over.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like, and that's not to diminish anything Tyreek Hill is doing, because he's unbelievable and he's what makes the offense like top 5. But like, I still think the offense would be functional and good without Tyreek. Like let's say that Tyreek Hill wasn't available or he goes to the Jets, like they still would have built it on speed. They would have found a really fast receiver and try to maximize his potential. It wouldn't have been the same, but I mean, it still would have been pretty good. Yeah. As far as him, like just talking trash before, like I love it. Like I'm all for it, doing everything. But yeah, I mean, it's just like giving them another reason. Like if you could keep quiet, like fine. But it's who he is. Like he wants to go out there and be the star and everything. But then you got to be the star, like when it is. And I don't know. I haven't watched enough of the film or like that to see if they were doing something really unique to stop him or what it was. But yeah, I mean, just a disappointing game from him, which really sucked because, you know, that would have been awesome if he somehow just went off in that game and Travis Kelce did nothing. And then we just looked great. That would have felt really good. But yeah, I kind of just want to talk real quick. You got something to say and then I'll go back. No, I was just going to say like last thing and then we'll wrap it up. So for me, like another interesting thing I want to talk about here is Mike McDaniel. The play, like first the game itself, the play calling, and then the possible miscommunication, and then lastly, like as a whole. But yeah, just interesting, like local radio down here right after the game. I just went to the store, and they were just sort of kind of ripping on him. They were like, the run game was so effective, like on that final drive. Why would you stop doing it? And then just sort of other stuff, you know, that we had to burn a couple of key timeouts. That ended up, I guess, not being all that key, but would have been nice to have them in certain situations. Like, I don't know what it is, but I mean, maybe it's just year 2. It's miles better than year 1, the play calling. And I still think he's figuring it out. But yeah, I mean, Mike McDaniel, like, I think he deserves a portion of the blame here for this game for his play calling. Then lastly, as a whole, this is the first time we've probably seen him with some real adversity that's not injury related. Going to be interesting to see what happens. I mean, it's all fun and games, and I love it. Like, don't change who you are, Mike McDaniel, ever. Be yourself, everything. It was so cool watching him just in the German media interacting. But yeah, I mean, that stuff's not going to fly with everyone now when you're not winning these big games. If you continue to go out and don't perform, the Dolphins fans aren't going to like that. I don't think management or anyone will like that. So yeah, I mean, interesting to see how his personality evolves here, and especially with Hard Knocks. I mean, that's the last thing I think the Dolphins want happening now, but it's happening. But yeah, how did you kind of grade Mike McDaniel as this game?
I mean, I've always been like a Mike McDaniel supporter amongst some people, and it's actually gotten to the point where I've had like friends on Twitter that like I've gotten in debates with to where I don't really talk to them much anymore because of some of the things they've said in regards to that. And not that like I don't talk to people because of their opinions, but it's just like piles on when you're just talking to someone and they're making no sense. It's not like an actual conversation, right? Like we disagree on stuff and that doesn't matter. I don't care. But like Mike McDaniel definitely deserves blame. You can't be the head coach of a team and it's your offense and you not take any of the blame. You know, in regards to the play calling, you know, I sat there and I was like, they need to condense the play calls, but also like Kyle Shanahan does the same play calls. Mike Shanahan did the same play calls. So like, how can you tell someone, hey, your play calls are the issue when they're like, no, we've done it for 25 years. It's not, it's me. Right. So there is some to that where maybe it's Mike McDaniel getting too in his head and taking too long to figure out which play he wants to use. I don't know. I didn't think it was a super big issue, but I definitely thought they were not organized. As far as the play calling, you know, I don't care that we stopped running the ball at the end. Like, okay, people, like, what if the Dolphins ran the ball and we got like 1 yard?
Yeah.
And now it's 2nd and 9 and the same thing. Because what would have happened is you would have run it. Say you didn't get anywhere because aside from those 2 plays, we couldn't run
Yeah.
diddly, you know what? Say you don't run it, or say you run it, you get no yards, or say it's a Savon Ahmed run. Which why are you using him?
This team is missing.
Oh, I got mad.
Let me tell you.
Oh God, I got mad. And everyone's like, well, it's not Devon Achen's or it's not Savon Ahmed's fault. I'm like, there's a reason why every time he touches the ball, it's like a loss. It's not a coincidence. It's not like Mike McDaniel's like, which run play sucks? Savon. No,
That real quick.
I know you want to.
Oh yeah, just for Mike McDaniel, let me say this: he's the best coach I think I've ever seen in my life on the Dolphins. I can definitively say that. So this is not discrediting him or anything, but again, calling it how it is. Then the other thing, I don't know if he had this team like prepared. Like they didn't show up until the last drive in the second half. Like that to me was more concerning. Like, and whether we were talking about that, everyone's families out there. They were maybe out with their families visiting it. Like, who knows what it was?
Right.
Not that that's a bad thing or anything, but look, I mean, at the end of the day, they just weren't prepared. It felt like.
Well, that's what I was about to say. Is I don't like again the end of the play call. I don't care. You ran the football. What if we would have run it, got no yards? Then you do 3 passes, and we're like, well, if you would have thrown it on first down, maybe we would have gotten a first down. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not playing that game. Like, I was surprised they ran it that much, to be honest with you, and got that far. But to the point, this is where I was going to get to. What I blame Mike McDaniel for is when you were the head coach, to me, and I could be wrong in saying this, and maybe people are going to get mad at me. To me, Mike McDaniel is focusing a little too much on the play calling of being a head coach, and he's missing out on the let's go effing win this game. Let's be great. Let's rise to the moment. And I don't know the behind the scenes. We're going to find out in Hard Knocks. That's why I'm excited. I'm not excited because I'm like, yay, we get hard. Like, no, I want to learn about this team, right? Use it as a viewing opportunity as us to get an insight to learn.
I agree.
To learn about Mike McDaniel. What's this guy like? Like, you can tell things. What's Tua like? Does Tua curse? That's what I'm saying. I want to see this stuff. But that's to me where I hold it on Mike McDaniel, because they say this about kids when there's a lot of dysfunction or there's kids acting up. It's normally a reflection of the household and a dysfunction in the household. When I see stuff like this where they're trying to get too cute and they seem razzled and they're it's almost like they're playing too fast, which is hard to believe because they're such a fast team. To me, is Mike McDaniel calm, cool, and collected enough? I'm not saying he's freaking out, but to me, there needs to be this tough mentality, battle-tested mindset. And it seems to me that right now it's a lot of pizzazz and a lot of finesse because that's who Mike McDaniel is. So that's where I hold it on him as a coach, because you came out early to Germany. There's no reason you should have looked worse than the Chiefs. And so as a fan, play calling, yeah, we can get into the nitty-gritty of you should have called this. Yeah, hindsight's always 20/20. But to me, it was overall, it felt like it was just like breathe, Tua, breathe, Tyreek. And even Mike McDaniel, it seemed at times where it was like the play calling was off, not necessarily the exact plays, but the rhythm and the feel. And it wasn't until that third, fourth quarter where he settled. And so getting back to what you originally asked, and this will be the last thing I say before we close it out, I trust Mike McDaniel to fix it, because he's going to have a whole week and a half now to figure out what happened. He's going to be fully healthy. There shouldn't be one injury on this team other than Isaiah Wynn, maybe Rob Jones, but I've heard probably not. There shouldn't, or probably, but there shouldn't be one injury on this team aside from those two. Lock and load. Figure out what's happening. And honestly, Chase, I'll say this. Let's not act like the Chiefs had this yeah, it was a good game plan, but there were plays to be had. Let's not act like there was just the Eagles game. Perfect. Chef's kisses all around. It was hard to do anything in that game. The Chiefs game, it was, I love Steve Spagnuolo. but there, like always, is plays to be had, like with the Brian Flores defense. And there were plays to be had there. You just didn't execute them. So let's not act like he got outclassed or anything. No, it was his team didn't come ready to play. And just like when mess ups are a reflection of Tua, because he's the captain of the offense, you are the head coach of the team, and your team feeling frazzled and not coming prepared is a reflection of you. So I have to call him out for that, but I trust that he'll figure out whatever he needs to.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the buck stops with you when you're the head coach. That's just the reality of it. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see how he'll continue to grow as a head coach with his weaknesses. Hopefully, here for a long time. But like we know, his strength are his creativeness on offense. He's a people person, but he's not a strong motivator. I think that's just kind of how it is with its personality, his stature. I don't think he is one logistically. Like we don't know yet, like how he is appointing people. I mean, some of his hires have looked good, but we got to continue to see scouting. Like we don't know what his weaknesses are yet. We've seen his strength, and his strength is pretty good, but there's going to be weaknesses. Like, and can he overcome those? Can he grow from those? Like when Bill Belichick started, he had weaknesses. When Andy Reid, like when any coach starts, they have weaknesses. Can you overcome them? Or are you going to be Adam Gase and then you run out of building and you get another job and then you run out of that building and you're never seen from again? What's going to happen? But yeah, you could go ahead.
It's just real quick on what you said. That's how I know that we have the right coach, because we saw with Adam Gase. I know Ryan Tannehill left, but there's no evolution. There's an evolution from Mike McDaniel. Yes, you're not going to score 70 points every game, but to me, he understands what he's doing. But yes, your mentality as a team is a reflection of your head coach. And that's what I'm saying. The Dolphins right now seem to be all finesse, and that's not a bad thing, but they seem to be all finesse. But when it comes time where life and everything punches you in the face and you have to win a game without all the trick stuff, can you do that? And to me, that's something that we still need to see.
Yeah, I mean, and look, I'm glad that there's a bye week, because I definitely think we could talk about this game a lot more if we wanted to talk about the big picture a lot more. Like there's so much to see, but yeah, the one last thing, and then we'll close out here. Yeah, I think just the injuries are pretty positive. It looks like you said, it's going to be on deck, and that's a really good thing because we'll see what this team is like when healthy. But yeah, I mean, just Tehran to be back is great. We should have A-Chain back. I mean, and I really, as much as I think running backs don't matter, like this offense is missing him a lot. Like he added such another dynamic to this with like another set of just legs that can beat you anywhere on the field. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Like Jeff Wilson is no, thank you. I've seen enough Jeff Wilson, and same with Ahmed. But yeah. From us here at Dolphins versus the World, it's not all doom and gloom. I think that's sort of the big takeaway. But yeah, I mean, still a lot to be learned about this team, and we're excited to see what more we can learn. But from us here again, thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. And we'll see you next time. Talk more Dolphins football.